So we're back with the Vela Discolite, our personal disco component. On the last episode, the gold paint de-lammed as soon as I went to go wipe it and clean it. So over the past week, I've been figuring out things to do and how to rectify that situation and make it as close to original as possible. And the thing that I came up with the help of my fiance is gold mirror vinyl. So that's what this stuff is right here. I did a lot of it off camera because that's just hours and hours of work. So I just saved one so that way you guys can see the process a little bit. So we'll get started on that here in just a second. The other thing that I tried to figure out what to do was the speakers were very yellowed and very nasty, just kind of grody. Even the new ones that came in, well, new ones that came in from eBay were just grody and nasty. So did some research on how to rectify that situation as well, and I will show you guys the results here in just a moment. First, we're actually going to work on one of the speakers and do what I did to the other ones to this one, so that way it has time to dry before we put them back in here, and then we'll do the vinyl here, and then we'll clean this thing up one more time, do some the plastic conditioner on it, make it look really nice, and then we'll put it back together, and then maybe get the box back together tonight. I don't know, that's a pretty high hope because the other portion of the box still needs a little bit of work. I did also take that metal plate that was nice and rusty and wire wheel it and spray paint it, so it is done. I didn't think you guys really needed to see that particular thing, considering that was all of a 5-second thing where literally a drill wire wheel, knocking the rust off, and then just spray painting it. So I'm sure most of everyone knows how to do that. There's a couple things I did off camera just so that way I'd save you guys and myself some time. Also, these guys right here, there's a beveled edge here on these little like fake bolt hold down things. It was really not a thing I could do with the vinyl and an X-Acto knife. I'm sure if I knew how to use like a Cricut or some sort of vinyl cutter, I probably could have figured it out. However, that's not something I have knowledge on how to do. So what I'm going to do is something different. It's going to not be original to the box. It's going to be kind of a custom thing. We're going to paint the surrounds white, and then in the center we're going to do each of the colors that the Boombox speakers have. So it's yellow, red, blue, green. And so we're going to do yellow, red, blue, green, or whatever. And those are going to be like in a glow-in-the-dark neon, so that'll look pretty neat. So that way when the box is off or when it's really dark, you can see like the glow-in-the-dark aspect of that. So that's the plan anyway. Let's get cracking on the speaker. Okay, so as you can see, these two look very different from each other. This is the speaker that remains original. This is the speaker that I touched up. Now, when I did some research online, there's two options, tint or paint, because these are paper cones. And the tint wouldn't work because we can't really tint lighter when this is already so dirty and so stained, and also even has some paint splatter right here as well. So the other option was acrylic paint, and we do very thin layers one at a time until we get this right here. The only thing that I had heard of that could possibly be an issue in the future is that essentially it will just take down some of the highs, and that kind of makes sense because adding weight to the cone. So it might take down some of the highs, but it shouldn't do too bad. It shouldn't really be like that noticeable. So I would much rather have a really clean speaker, considering Vela didn't really make these for sound quality to begin with. So we want this thing to really be as showy and flashy as possible, because that's what this whole thing was designed for. So we're going to go ahead and clean this guy up. We're going to paint this one, and then we're going to set it to the side while we do the other stuff, so that way it has time to dry before we go ahead and reinstall it in the box. I just picked up some acrylic paint from Amazon, whatever Meeden acrylic paint, soft body titanium white. I was trying to go for the brightest white possible, so that way it would like pop really well with like the colors and the lights. So, and also like with acrylics, I should be able to clean these cones off pretty easily in the future because they'll have less of a porous surface after all of this. So, and what I'm using right now is I just took a little bit of spray away, and I'm just gently wiping the cone to get all the dirt and residue off of it. Obviously the staining and all that other stuff remains, but the dirt and residue should come off pretty easily. One of the things that I have a theory about is that I think that the acrylic will actually help kind of preserve the paper a little bit, because you're essentially adding a shell to the paper. So I can only assume it would help preserve that. Right now I'm just drying it off. Okay, so that's nice and dry now. Alright, I mean, you can see it got a little bit better. There's not as much staining going on. It's still, you know, yellowed out and stuff from age. There's a little bit of oil stains right here. Like I said, garage. So somebody literally just spilt oil on the thing and said, whatever. Again, one of those things where I don't understand. It's not that kind of unit. It just isn't. I mean, I have at least 2 other units in this room that I could think of that I'd go, you know what, let me put that in the garage. At least without knowing what they are, of course, but, you know, let me put that in a garage, and that'll be fine, so. But not this guy. This guy was not one of those units I would have picked. A light-up unit for the garage. Something with significant difference compared to all the other boomboxes? No. I would have never put this one in the garage. Seems like a waste. We're going to thin out our acrylic with a little bit of water, just so that way it has an easier spread and also does some thinner layers that'll dry up as we paint, so that way we can just keep painting. Because if we didn't, I did do a test sub on one of the old ones that we pulled out of the box. If we didn't do this and thin it out, it takes a lot longer for everything to dry. So this is a pretty easy task. Just if you end up doing this on your own at home, just be gentle and be precise. And with this particular cone, because the paper is starting to shred, we have to we're gonna probably have to do some thicker coating around that area, just to get that paper to not show through the paint. You can see I'm very, very lightly touching this speaker. I'm doing very thin coats, at least at the moment. I tell you what, I don't think anybody in 40 years or 30 years is going to be looking for JBL Bluetooth speakers and being like, that's a classic, man. It's because they don't matter. They're not. There's nothing interesting about the era that we live in right now. Let's be honest. Not a single thing. Everything's minimalist and everything's trash. Listen, man, there was a day and time. We're going to let that dry for a second. There was a day and time when you walked into somebody's home and part of their status was the crazy sound system they had set up next to their TV with stacked tower speakers and like the $900 to $1,000 amp and an EQ that's like a 12 band or a 10 band, and you know, the tape players, the CD players, the whole 9 yards. I mean, those things were pieces of furniture in your house. They were something that mattered, that was cool. And now, you know, you go to somebody's house and all of a sudden you're just like, wait, dude, what's your sound bar? So like the era of like hi-fi sound and cool shit like that has been long gone. And now we pretty much just have, oh, here's that Bluetooth speaker, dude. And there's no cool design in that. There's no interesting aspect to that. And every Bluetooth speaker design looks exactly like the other Bluetooth speaker design, kind of like phones or anything else. I mean, there is just no artistic design, I guess, in anything now. I mean, even cars. I'm a huge car guy, and I love older vehicles going, 60s, 50s, 70s, and pretty much anything before like 1990 or even like the late 80s, because like that's when they started losing touch with the art of building a car. Everything started looking very similar back then, and now it just all looks the same. Every car company tries to go for the same shit, the same design, the same headlights, the same, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's going to be finite differences between them, but not like back in the day when like this car company had this really weird, way to shift your transmission. Like Dodge used to have buttons on the fucking dash in like the 1960s. That's insane. It was a vacuum system. But now we have these little stupid fucking knobs to shift, and almost every car adapted that. And then almost every vehicle now is all bubbly and shit. And look at Chevy with the stupid Blazer. Ugh. As if somebody wants a Blazer that looks like a fucking soccer mom car. And if you do want a Blazer that looks like a soccer mom car, then fucking shame on you. Because the Blazer that I know is a bad-ass vehicle. Those K5s you cannot beat. Those are sweet. But then they bring them back and make them look like shit because that's what they think the public wants. I don't know. Maybe that is what you guys want. Maybe you guys just want boring, dull-ass vehicles. However, recently, companies have been coming out with vintage-looking new shit. Why, in my opinion? Because we all are aware that that was a better time for design and just for the world. Like, it's just better. This should be almost dry enough to put on another coat now. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, by the way. May as well get that rant out of the way. Who says I can't, vlog about shit while I'm fixing boomboxes? Those are our 4 speaker colors that are gonna match, so that's what we'll do in the center of those bolt thingies, fake bolts, whatever. And yeah, this thing should turn out pretty sweet. All right, let's put on another coat before this paintbrush dries out. As a matter of fact, let's get that thing cleaned off a little bit here. But it's probably gonna take 3 to 4 coats to because I can still see the browning of the original speaker just below the surface here. So we're getting there, but it's gonna take quite a few coats to get it to be nice and uniform white. One more coat because I still see through here a little bit in here. So one more coat and then she's done, and then we'll move on to the body, the little fake screw doodads. Don't keep these things in your garage, people. These designs are never coming back, at least in full production. I know Boombox is making a production 80s, basically resto modded boombox, essentially, which is dope. I got on there, I was one of the contributors for their Kickstarter, because I really want to test their box. I have one of their boomboxes, actually. I have one of their freestyles in my garage that I bring to the beach quite often. But their new boombox, the BB777, I want to put up against the GF777 and see how she does. Okay, that looks good to me. I'm gonna set that off to the side now. I'll just use some spray away here and clean this girl up. We want our surface as clean as possible, so we're gonna be sticking the adhesive vinyl to this. It's not a heat transfer vinyl, which I found out, I think, the hard way. the other night. I was trying to do the badge for this thing. The one that says audio visual that was on the front grille. But it didn't work out. So now you still do use a hair dryer to apply some heat to get it to seat the adhesive a little bit better. But you don't. It's not a heat transfer, so it's not going to like shrink to the surface. All right, so let's see here. There's our vinyl. Looks like I barely made it just wide enough. So that's good. I don't want a ton of excess hanging off here. Just like this lower portion here can go away. Yep, just like that. So now we just start peeling and sticking slowly and cautiously with as much precision as possible. And you'll probably see a light from my headlamp, which I think I still have here. Yeah, I do. Because the lighting's fine in here, but it's one of those things where I really need a lot of lighting. And you're probably going to see my bald ass head a bunch of times. Well, it's not bald right now, but close enough. Balding, male pattern balding fucking head in frame a bunch because I need to get in real close to see the things. Yesterday when I was doing the square one, that was actually the easiest one. The most difficult was the circles, which is why I saved a square one specifically for me to do for you guys instead of a circle, because that sucked. Still have Ella Langley running through my head, by the way, for no like really good reason. There's a guy I've been watching on YouTube lately who seems to be into a lot of the similar things that I'm into when it comes to. He's a little bit more tech savvy when it comes to the technical side of audio and stuff. But his name's Tech Moan, and I really enjoy his videos. So if you guys like informational videos on the technological side of audio, that dude is really good. I'd go check him out. Okay, so I'm going to put my headlamp on, and then I'm also going to give this thing a little bit of a blow dry, so that way the adhesive sticks a little bit better. And you can see, the nice part is you can see where all the LED holes and stuff are, which, oh, look at that, my headlamp apparently has had enough. So I guess we're not using that, we're just going to fly blind on this one. Okay, a little bit of blow dry in action here. Like I said, that just activates the adhesive a little bit better. So that way she's nice and stuck. This blade has gotten me through all of the other ones, so I don't really know how sharp she is right now. Seems like plenty sharp for this, I guess. I always hate starting after corners because the vinyl's not nearly as taut. Yeah, this is kind of a learned on the fly skill. I've never really been good at using X-Acto knives and being like super precise with stuff, so it's one of those things where I just kind of had to, out of necessity, figure this out pretty well. And even then, like, I still had a hard time with most of this. Don't do that. Basically, it's a lot of like getting some of your initial edges in there and then cleaning up edges and then cutting out LED holes, which is what I literally did for hours yesterday. So I mean, the process has gotten a little bit easier for me, I guess. Maybe, in some sense. Still kind of a bit, but significantly less so than it was, because I've now done it a bunch. The hardest part is you want to like really angle the X-Acto towards what you're cutting, but the thing is you don't want to like push too hard, because then you'll start gouging plastic, which I did in some spots, and honestly, like, you can't really tell, and it's fine, but it's just annoying, because like I cut off like little bits of plastic, and then I had to like even it out, and a lot of these LED holes, I'm cutting them to exactly how they're shaped, and so you can tell with some of them that they're like shaped oblong and a little bit off, which again is not it's not me cutting that. I'm cutting them exactly to how they were originally drilled out or milled out or whatever, however they did it, and it just shows that they didn't really have like the highest standards of crafting with this thing, because I don't know how hard it is to have a drill press that lines up all the holes for you, but it seems like it must have been really difficult. We're getting there. And we just have all the LEDs to cut out, which isn't too bad. It's annoying and tedious, but it's not too bad. In comparison, it's kind of a cakewalk, actually. Cut out the LEDs and move on with my life. I don't think I want to work on a Vela Discolite ever again in my life. It's not Vela's fault. I'm sure I'm going to run into boomboxes that I can't stand after this at some point in my life, but for now, this has been the most pain in the ass thing ever. And it's a little bit Vela's fault because they use such cheap shit paint on these speakers that I had to redo them in vinyl because it just wiped off with the cleaner. I don't even know what company Vela is. They must have been like a one-off back in the day, or maybe they're a subsidiary of some other company. I'm not really sure. One LED at a time, buddy. One LED at a time. blade getting dull is really pissing me off, but luckily we're on our last leg here. Okay, finally. Look at that. Most of the gold has been restored. Like we said, there's supposed to be gold over here. Where'd I put the spray away? Clean them up. Clean them individuals up. Colors than the white, just in case we get something somewhere we're not supposed to. Okay, now I want maybe green and blue to be near each other. Maybe we'll just do it like the box. Yellow, red, green, blue. Or yellow, red, blue, green. Yeah, that's fine, whatever. I kind of wish I had more paintbrushes. My own fault. Let's see if there's a cap on these, or if they're open. They're open. Wait, no, there's a cap. Okay. There's some thick ass paint, boy. I don't know if you're supposed to thin it out, I would guess. I guess we'll do two at a time, because we're doing the same color scheme on the other side. I bet you once this first coat dries, though, it'd probably be a lot easier to put on the second one. My plan is here to do this exactly the same on this side, just with the yellow starting on the outside instead. Yellow, or red over here, I guess. It's pink now, it'll be red later when it dries. At least that's what the box says, so. We'll see. I have to just gauge this shit on how it looks when it dries up. I might be able to use the blow dryer here in a little bit to get it to start drying up first. Okay. Next we got blue, and then green. Then we'll hit it with the hair dryer. Let's see if we can't get these things to dry up a little quicker. Then we'll do a second coat, I guess. See how that goes. I kind of want to leave the surrounds black and just kind of make them like their own standout thing. So I might just do that instead of throwing white on there. Yeah, we'll see. Come on, little rubber plastic thing, kid. Oh, of course I get the paint right on my shorts here. They put these little stupid cap things in there to keep it from drying out, which is great, except for they don't come out really that easily. And of course, we get paint on me. Okay, blue. Blue would be the next one. Like I was telling you before, this is a coordination with the speaker colors, so red, yellow, or yellow, red, blue, and green. So so we got a first coat of blue, red, and yellow. Now we need a coat of green. And here comes the green. Okay. Green. If you actually notice in the rest of the box, the color scheming, they did the same thing that I'm doing right now, which is scheming the colors with the speakers. I really just noticed that myself. Didn't really notice it before, but I can see it now. Red, green, yellow, blue. Green, blue, red. I guess the gold would be the yellow. So, yep. Kind of makes sense. Where you going? Alright, hair dryer time. Let's see if that will help the dry time or if it will piss me off and make my life worse. Because there's really only two ways that this works. Off camera, I have done a lot of things, not necessarily on purpose, but last night when I was filming, I didn't realize that my camera had died. So, I'm going to show you what's been completed. We have our freshly spray painted grates back on. We have our speakers back in. These are all things that you could definitely see how to do in the first video. You're literally just doing those things in reverse. So, nothing special going on here. I showed you how to do the vinyl. I showed you how to paint the speakers. So all I did remaining where the camera died was I painted these little dots and then I put these grates on. And these grates I painted off camera anyway, so that's not a big deal. I did get these in the mail today. These are actually 3D printed versions of the badges because they were just too expensive to find the OGs. So right now we're going to go ahead and solder the speaker leads back, and then this piece will pretty much be done. After that we can focus on the main box and we'll get that going. So gonna have to solder some leads here. We're gonna have to zip tie this guy back in place. I think it was right here if I remember correctly. So basically just putting on the speakers, they all have just four screws, and there's 4 screws for each of the grills. So there's one here, one here, one here, one here. So again, not a really hard process to master if you're trying to figure out what to do with that. Just a smidge bit of flux on here, so that way everything goes smooth. We'll do one little piece at a time, and then we'll let's see here. We have 2 negatives per side and 2 positives. So this would be our 2 positives. Where's our positive? There we go. This shouldn't be super hard here. There we go. That side's done. Now we just have side number 2 over here. We should only have 1 positive lead coming in from here, I believe. Yeah. Just be 1 positive lead going into this one. So that goes over here. Get that guy lined up. Got 2 negatives lined up real quick. And then these 2 should be good. And then we'll move on to the other 2. Let's get some flux on these connections here. Flux it up, boy. Alright, just like that, our connections are made. Yep, nice and strong like. Just like the other side, we have 2 negatives per and 1 positive. Use my flux brush. Still probably got enough on it to flux this stuff. Yep, I do. We'll go with the negatives first. we have the positive on this side. We have the jumper positive and the regular positive incoming. I think we'll do the negatives first. They just seem to be in a more precarious spot. Alright, well, we have this thing here. We may as well just nip this one down too. That one really doesn't have enough on there. They were chintzy with it when they first did it. That's a little bit better. That looks pretty nice now, I'd say. Okay, so we have all these guys connected here. This guy needs to get zip tied back down to this speaker. It had one of these ties on it originally. We'll just use a regular zip tie. Aha, there's a zip tie. Okay, zip tie that bad boy up real quick. Work around 40-year-old paper cone subwoofers. And go, oh yeah, no. It's scary. Yep. That should pretty much do it. Now we can, son of a bitch. Now we can focus on the main part of the box here. Okay. Let's put this guy on its back here. Welcome back to this guy here. Let's try and blow some of this stuff out real quick here. I got a new thing because I was tired of spending money on canned air, and since this thing is vented at the back, let's try and blow some of this dust out through the vents. Yeah, it did. It worked. Okay, so you can still see that there's a little bit of rust scale in the back here. Let me see if I can hit that battery contact a little bit better with this guy here, because it is still pretty grody. And there's only so much I can do, you know? Let's get these guys in here. Maybe we can get some of this rust scale out of the back here. Oh yeah, it seems to be working a little bit. This little area is really hard to get to, so I'm sorry if I'm blocking your guys' view. I can't really see it without doing this, so. There's just like a lot of rust scale still left in the bottom here. Let's see if I can just get rid of most of it so that way it doesn't come back inside the box and start causing problems again. Yeah, you can see that. Probably not going to be able to get all of that out of there, but at least a little bit's probably good. Yeah, it's better. Okay. So I got the metal plate right here. It looks significantly better than it did. It is no longer rusted, it is black. And it has been wire wheeled down. You can still see that there's plenty of marking from the rust that ate through it so badly, but it is at least manageable now and is not going to start spreading rust through the box again. I also wire wheeled the screws down because they were quite rusty as well. I didn't have ones that were exactly this size, or else I probably would have just replaced them, because that's not super hard to do. But all right, there we go. There's our rusty metal plate that is no longer rusty. Just do paper towels this time instead of microfibers, since it's just the inside of the box and I don't really have to worry about how she looks. Just need to make it nice and clean. Outside of the box, however, we're going to detail with some wires and a bunch of other stuff and make her look like, not brand new, but close enough, I guess. The tuner knob is pretty loose on this thing, so I was just seeing if we could possibly do anything with that. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys the back of the box, and then I'm going to pick it up and clean it. So the back of the box, actually I saw the last video from editing. You can see in here there's tons of dust, there's tons of nastiness. There's like some sort of, I don't know if it's leaking from the box's power supply or if it's like oil or something on the back here. Probably not, it's probably just oil, but it's pretty gross. So that's not entirely great. The sticker means literally nothing now because there's no markings on it, so that can go. But yeah, and then there's a ton of dust up under the handle, and there's still a lot of rust scale back in here, so there's a lot of dust up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep it tilted up for the moment, and then I'll tilt it back down and we can look at it together afterwards. So that way I can hit everything real quick nicely over here. There's no easy way to do this either. It's just like, since everything's so caked in there. Actually, you know what? I have a tool that might help with this a little bit. It's a little dental pick type tool. Yeah, that certainly helped. That was good. Let's just go ahead and take that thing off there. Let's go ahead and take this thing off of there. Pull right out. Yep. There's always a couple washers in there. The new ones have like kind of a built-in washer system, so I don't need to really save those. Let's just wipe her down a little bit first, though. Try and get some of this excess crud off here, considering we just did all that work. And there's a bunch of crud that should come off now. Okay, she's as clean as she's ever gonna be. So what we need to do now is we need to test everything before we put it back together to make sure everything works, including our LED panel and our speakers. So we're just gonna temporarily hook this thing up, take a look at everything, and then if everything checks out, then we'll fully connect it the rest of the way. Okay, so we should be good there. Let me get my doodad real quick hooked up, and then we'll test her out. All right, we're plugged in. All right, our LEDs are functioning. Yep. I know you guys can't really see that here. I'm gonna try and get it on the camera. You can see them functioning, so. Only thing we're not getting here right now, and maybe it's just because they need a completed circuit, is the sublights. Let me see. I'm gonna plug the second one in there. It might use them to complete the circuit. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. Come on. There it goes. Alright, so yeah, it needs a completed circuit, so those are working. You can see them right here. Those are your incandescent bulbs that go behind the subs. So those are functioning just fine. Seems like everything sounds pretty good. Alright, let's go ahead. Honestly, since everything's working functionally, we can probably just get this thing unplugged real quick and then slap it together. And then we'll work on the LED swap for the incandescent bulbs in the rear. Okay, so I have a new screwdriver somewhere that I bought specifically for this. Pretty sure this guy was still in there. One of them was. Which one was it? This guy? Nah, that's the guy. Okay, there's 1, 2 we could put over here. Vela Disco component is pretty much back together now, so that's cool. Okay, so we're gonna flip this thing around. We're gonna start working on the LED circuit. Well, the new LEDs. What I need to figure out is what positive and negative are, so we're just gonna keep playing music for a moment as I mess around with that. So basically, what I'm going to do here, actually no, I can't do that because we need the buttons. Basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to plug this lead into this port here, and we're going to check which side is positive and which side is negative, so that way we can get the LEDs correctly set in there. I already have a mock-up one here, which I'll show you how we did that in here in a little bit. We basically had to drill out the interior of this thing, and then we had to fit our wires in here. And this one already has a resistor on it for 6 volts. I heard that this is 6.3, so if it blows out, that's okay. We still have the original light bulb right here, which we can put back. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this boy up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of guess, just kind of wing it as to which one's positive and which one's negative. We're just gonna give it our best shot here and see if she fires off. Have those connected for the time being. We gotta get the power connected and get our little doohickey back up and running. On. Okay. Already I have the LED working. I don't know why it's flashing currently. Maybe it's just the signal that it's getting. Let's see here.
Maybe we ought to load the gun now to be sure, huh?
Yes. If I were surrounded by 6 rated...
We can actually move this guy somewhat out of the way now, and then what we'll do is we'll get the LEDs rigged up. Again, we're doing them in accordance to color of speaker. So for right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually move the boombox out of the way. We do need to do a little bit of drilling on this piece here. We need the first stage to go inside and drill out a little bit, and then we need the second stage to drill just the tip out for just the tip. We need a second stage to drill just the tip out for the LED itself, because the LED is a little bit wider than the cabling. All right, that's gentle enough. The reason we did that is the resistor on the, wow, I cut myself open. The reason that we did that is the resistor on the LEDs is quite large, and so the resistor needs some room inside of this case to sit. So here's our blue LEDs right here. Yep. So our blue LEDs right here. And you'll see what I'm saying with the way it sits. So we'll pull this thing back out, but I'll show you guys first. So first off, the resistor's up here next to the top end, and then when we go to put this in here, you can see that the LED doesn't quite sit inside of this this chamber here. So I need to just drill out just the top just a little bit. However, I think what I'll do first is I'll get all of these prepped. So we have what, 1, 2, 3, where's our fourth? 4. All right, I'll get all of these prepped at one time, so that way we're not sitting here forever, one at a time, gradually doing it. All right, so we need to use the bigger bit to widen the head of the socket, so that way the LED sinks a little bit deeper in there. Let's do that on all 4 of them. Should be okay though. Okay, now we gotta do a few more of these. Right, yep. There we go. That was super long, drafted, and winded for no reason. Yeah. Nifty. Okay. We'll do the goofy thing that they did to make these wires stay in place, which was like tie them through. Not that part's done. Actually, the wings on this one broke, but you know, they're pretty much sticking out the same distance. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna hook these two up and then test one more time and then solder these leads, and then we'll move on to the other two. I think we're doing okay with this. We just need some electrical tape to mark which one negative is on both of them, so that way we can solder them together correctly. It seems like negative, I think, is on the outside, inside of both, maybe? Is that correct? Yeah, it's on the, well, technically it's on the inside of the first one, but yeah, it's the same. Okay, so it's positive, negative, positive, negative. Neat. It's probably the same on the other one. Okay, now those are all rigged up. Let's get the RCA jacks back in place. Turn it on and take a look. Okay, so we're correct about that again. That's good. Our negative lead here. And we are ready to do the thing where we solder everything. So I'm gonna pull these jacks out, and then we're going to get the soldering station over here after I move the box out of the way. Do a little bit of pre-tin here. There we go. That's a good pre-tin. That should be good. Yep, feels good. Always, never, doesn't, not burn. Okay, a little bit of flux as per usual. In case a few of you out there don't know what flux does, it basically helps the solder set. And my dumbass forgot to put a shrink wrap tube on there. Guess we're taping that one, because I am not desoldering that. That was a really good solder joint. Yep. So that was stupid of me. It is what it is. What's a project without a little bit of electrical tape? All right, there's one. This is a rinse and repeat process here, so. Okay, let's get these shrink wrappages going here. It doesn't like really hurt, it just hurts enough. What I'm doing. Ah, son of a bitch. Ow. Wow, fuck me. Okay, one more. Let's just keep burning ourselves on end. And the reason I pinch these shut is so that way they don't move, because they are still a little too big for this gauge of wire, and I don't have any smaller shrink wraps. So, but there you go. 2 of 2 complete. 2 more to go. There we go. Okay. Dos mas, and then we're done pretty much. Neat. There's 4 soldered bulbs. Now we can push this boy back off to the side, clean up the table a little bit, and then get the boombox back up here and give her final, hopefully final test. Okay, this is, I think they're interchangeable, but this would be this panel, so we need green. Green needs to go in here. Green goes in here. That's sitting pretty, so we got green up in there. And we need blue. Where's my blue? There's blue. Could have probably taken some extra wire off of this, because there's going to be a lot of wire sitting behind here now. There we go. That one's in. Okay, there's this piece of foam backing this green one, because one of the The little fins are what like kind of push up against the thing that holds these guys in. And I'll show you what that looks like. It looks like this, these little tubes. So the green one already had a missing doohickey on it, a fin, and then the other fin broke off. So it had a piece of foam behind it, which is not the way it came stock, but it does work for the time being. So we'll see how that goes. Doesn't feel like it's super well in there. All right, now we have red and yellow. Red, of course, goes on this side because it's the second one in. And yellow goes on the other side because it's the first speaker out. Okay, red. That one's easy to sit in, that's nice. Yellow. Fit, yeah. Real tight fit. But it went right in, I think. That's shocking. You could probably test this thing with battery. I haven't done that yet. We did clean the battery terminals, so that'd probably be nice just to see what she does. Let's see here. Clean this guy real quick. Another panel that's nasty. We're almost at full functioning boombox time. It's exciting for me. This was a hard project with lots and lots of hours, so I really don't get any sleep anymore. Feel like you're gonna go nuts. Maybe. I'm not already there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's see, where did I put that? I have a pack of batteries. Let's see if this thing won't give me batteries. Now that we've cleaned everything out. Okay. We're D-battery powered, at least as far as I know. We, like I said, haven't tested this yet, so I don't know how she'll do. Could do great, could not do great at all. I need to put buttons back on too. Need our tuning knob back on. Tuning's back on. Yep. Good there. And then we need all of our slider knobs. Let's see if she works. Let's see what she does. Okay. Oh snap, we have power with battery. Let's see. Oh wow. That looks great. Here, I'll show you guys. There you go. That's awesome. Wow, so not only do we have battery power, but we are also LED'd, cleaned up, renewed. This thing is doing awesome. Holy crap, that was a project. Awesome, I'll give you guys a close-up view here in just a moment, alright? Okay, after all of that work, so much work into this box, this is what we've got. We've got this Vela Dynasty personal disco component running correctly. I did notice that there are two LEDs down here that don't work. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that that's because that's where the traces on the board were eaten by rust from that metal plate on the battery compartment. One day I'll probably go back in there and just patch them with wire, but until then, she's doing just fine. Also, correcting myself from the beginning of this video. When I said that it was in a Madonna music video in the 80s, the styling was in the 80s, the music video was in 2005, and I can't remember what the name of that music video was, but I did look it up just to make sure I was correct, and I was not. So, 2005 Madonna music video had this boombox in it. But everything that's been done to this thing at this point, obviously it's not an original anymore. It doesn't have the original chrome paint. It doesn't have the original paint scheme because I didn't do vinyl on the little fake bolts here. Otherwise, this thing, it just turned out amazing though. We're running on battery right now, which is awesome. Everything's cleaned up on the inside. All the buttons are cleaned up. Everything works, all the volume, all the speakers. I did hear a little bit of a crackle in this speaker, but I don't know if it's blown or if there's like a piece of something that got left in there from me working on it. So it doesn't really sound like a blown speaker. It sounds just more like there's noise. So otherwise, I couldn't be happier. This thing turned out amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys see what it looks like, and then I'll take a closer view. Pretty neat. That LED swap turned out great. Now every single speaker is the color of the light it's supposed to be, so green is green, blue is blue, red is red, and yellow is yellow. Which just adds a whole nother layer of that light aesthetic to it. Yeah. Like I said, couldn't be happier with the way the outcome is. A lot of work, probably the most work I've put into any boombox at all so far, aside from maybe my JVC up there. So, the next one we're going to work on is going to be the Texonic Super Jumbo J1 down here. And then I do have one that just came in that's very special, a very awesome addition to this group. Please welcome a Sharp GF777, one of the kings of boomboxes. I am really excited that this is in the collection now. It needs a good cleanup. It needs a radio tuner knob fix. And it needs the tape decks cleaned out. As a matter of fact, we need to find a tape door for it because this is broken. So that is for a future project. Otherwise, we got this one. We're working on that one next right there. And she is good to go, man. She just is sounding awesome. She's working great. We'll go ahead and see the LEDs one more time. Couldn't be more excited about that. I mean, it just looks awesome now. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Deuces.
In the case of nuclear or radiological fallout, people living around potential targets such as military bases and chemical plants need